Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to JBPG City, our mass transit playthrough, and I have been busy making some work over here, or starting work in this area over here. So this is obviously going to be the main sort of industrial hub for our city. We've got our docks now up and running. As you can see, we've got vehicles going in, ships going out. That's our export dock, that's our import dock. So ships are coming in onto this one here, unloading their cargo, and then we're sending ships out on this one here for delivery. This isn't up and running just yet, because obviously we don't have the railway line connected to anything, and I haven't expanded beyond this point here yet, because again, I want to kind of plan out where the railway is going to go before we start messing around with our freight line. But everything else seems to be working quite well. You see we've got a couple of ships coming in for delivery here. There's a whole load of freight traffic being spat out. I haven't got the harbour, for passenger liners up and running properly yet either. That is still switched off because I've got no plumbing over this side or electricity just yet. What I have got though is just to feed this district here is a small pipe network. So we've got our water pump just here on the side, as you can see, and then just a single outflow pipe just here. Just to deal with any sewage from this little industrial area up here. The city is actually going through a major death wave at the moment. A whole ton of people died. My cemetery is all filled up immediately. So they're all on an empty process at the moment. You can see here is, it's the fallout from... I'm not entirely sure. I think it's a death wave. I'm not entirely sure what triggered it, but just the whole lot went. And we've got masses of abandoned city, abandoned houses all throughout the city. This just insane death wave has hit us. Absolutely everywhere. Look, even the new stuff. It's just absolutely crazy. And I'm trying to figure out exactly why. I'm not seeing any health symbols popping up, so I don't think it's a problem with water or anything like that. I can't quite figure out what caused it, but here it is anyway. We kind of, our population has absolutely nosedived. We've lost about 10,000 people, well, over 10,000 people, probably about 13,000 people in pretty quick order. As you can see, I've just got abandoned properties everywhere. As a result, we're still dealing with with the bodies themselves. They're still piling up. I think what I might have to do is just add in some additional crematoriums. Let's see, healthcare. So I've got a crematorium there. I've got my cemeteries obviously there emptying. Do I actually have a crematorium nearby here? No, I don't. See, normally I put a crematorium either opposite or next door or somewhere close whenever I put a cemetery in, and I haven't done here, so let's deal with that. Let's plonk it just there on the corner. That'll help deal with some of the bodies. Let's check. We've got another one over there. Another one there. One over there. That should help over there. What have I got over here? Again, I've got a cemetery there. Crematorium there. Let's put a crematorium next to... this cemetery. If I can. I'll have to go there. That'll work. Over here, you see there I've got one in, look. It just speeds up the unload process. They've got one to go straight into. So that one's unloaded, as you can see. Got another crematorium there. One there. I suppose I could put one in over here, couldn't I? Just trying to find what would be a suitable spot. Let's put it there, next to the health centre. There we go. That might actually improve ratings in the workman centre as well. Let's see, where else? See, there's one there already. We come over the river. Cemetery and a crematorium. Let's put a second crematorium in over here somewhere. Let's put one in on that corner. And we're having worker problems as a result because our population has gone down. Well, it's still falling. It's plummeting, look. Absolutely plummeting. So I had 57,000 people in the city when I started putting these upgrades in. And now we're nearly 20,000 people less. So everything is just, you know, struggling. Losing so many people. Check my water production. See, I've got plenty of water. Not just because, you know, obviously our demand has plummeted, but also look at my water tank storage. It's absolutely full. My backup supply, I've got nearly 2 million, you know, 1.8 million litres in reserve. So, water is not an issue. Sewage is not an issue. It's just, you know, a lot of people have died. And we've got huge, you know, swaths of abandoned buildings everywhere as a result. And still, we are losing people. I haven't had a death wave this bad in, I can't remember how long. Let's start unloading or start emptying, switching these cemeteries back on. That's the only one that's finished unloading by the look of it. Oh no, there's the other one. I thought there was a second one. How's this one doing? Still emptying. We'll let that carry on. It's just a shock to just see so much. That's 20,000 people pretty much dead now in this city. Just all snuffed it at exactly the same time. Very, very bizarre. Is it a power issue? Got plenty of power. It should all be connected. Yeah, there's no broken connections. Everywhere is all connected up, as you can see. And this is the only thing that's not connected at the moment. The two docks that are both switched off. I really wonder what has caused all of that. It's bizarre. I'll tell you what, this gives me the opportunity to go in and rezone this high density stuff into low density stuff, as we're starting to expand into our high density areas over here. That's what's going to be our high density. This is going to remain or go back to low density. So let me start clearing out these abandoned buildings. Swapping them all over, so help get our population back under control. I mean, there's just no demand at all at the moment for anything. You know, it's no large demand. It'll gradually just keep going up, and as long as we have available space, then we'll never see the demand. It'll just automatically slowly start to fill. But even so, I mean, it's, you know, as you see, it's had a devastating, whatever's caused this has just had a devastating effect on our city. switch all this over as well. There we go. So our population is probably going to go down even more while we're doing this, because the buildings that aren't abandoned are suddenly going to, you know, be replaced, and that's going to have a knock-on effect as large population centres suddenly become much smaller. But as I say, we're pushing our high density back where it needs to be. We kind of zoned all this stuff in as high density, partly just to, you know, guarantee that we were making progress on our unlocks. But now that we've made progress to the new area, we can reposition the high density where it's going to look better, I think, and also keep the sort of low density look that we've been building through our city up to this point. Of course, now we're going to have some power connection issues as some of these buildings dezone. Might have to start putting in some temporary power connections all over the place. We've already done this bit by the look of it. Okay, so that's our residential kind of reworked. Yes, we've still got swaths of abandoned buildings everywhere. It's just insane. We've got this large businessy sort of area over here. That's quite well built up. We don't need to worry about that. Population seems to be starting to go back up again, finally. What the hell caused such a massive drop in population? Oh, hang on. We're going to have water issues now, aren't we? That's not going to help. Right, we need some emergency power cabling. There we go. Make sure that we don't lose any power over here. And also make sure that we don't lose our sewage treatment. That's not going to help. Wow. Yeah, still look, just abandoned buildings absolutely everywhere. This place is a ghost town right now. I wish I knew what had caused it. All of our commercial zones are reasonably okay, but our industry zones have just taken a battering. Workman Park is still flourishing. Look, Workman Park's absolutely fine. And look at this commercial zone here. That's just devastated. McSweeney Square's, you know, taken a battering. Howarth Heights, Cotton Gardens. There's hardly any districts that haven't taken some kind of battering here. And look at the abandoned properties. They're just everywhere. I suppose we could start clearing some of these out. Certainly improve the happiness of the people that are still here. I still can't get over just how much of our city has been decimated by this. Like I say, I don't know what caused it. I really don't. I have no idea why everybody just up and died at exactly the same time. I mean, I know we get death waves, but I've never had a death wave that severe before. I wonder if it's a bug. I mean, the game got patched. Oh, just deleted a house that wasn't abandoned. Whoops. I wonder if it's a bug as part of the new update. The game got patched with some performance patches and improvements. So it should run a little bit smoother and a little bit faster by all accounts from what I've read from a few different people, both on PS4 and on Xbox. Have both stated improved performance. And the big thing, actually, if I pause this for a second, the big thing that I really like about this update, finally, is this. We can now manually select the colours of our lines. So we've got pre-select colours that we can go with here, as you can see, or we can choose and create our own custom colours, and you can see the line on the top right of the screen there changing as we move around on there. I love that. That is one of the most requested features that I've had, and a lot of people have been wanting that as well, to be able to actually just go in and manually select your own line colours. It's about time that that was added in, so a big thank you to Paradox for finally getting that enacted, put into action. Oops. Took out a house again that wasn't abandoned, and now we've taken out the road. Let's put that back in. There we go. I need to rezone now. Excellent stuff. I'm almost worried to scroll out, to zoom out and have a look at just how barren this city is looking with all these buildings taken out. It's looking pretty empty. All these gaps everywhere. Looking very empty. Oh, damn it. Took the road out again. Just look how much we're taking out just in small little blocks here. Still haven't even finished doing up here yet. Population's back up to 40,000, so we are starting to rebound, which is good. It's going to be a while, I think. And some of these buildings will naturally just replace themselves while we're doing this, so this isn't strictly necessary, me going in and replacing all these abandoned buildings, but you know, it speeds the process up, it speeds up the rebuild, and it keeps the people who are still there happier as well, because it brings the land value back up a little bit. If you've got districts that are just full of abandoned properties, the value in that of the land in that area just plummets, and makes people unhappy. And if it stays bad, then people eventually just start to leave. If you can raise the value by making, getting rid of these abandoned buildings, improves the happiness, improves the land value, and encourages more people to move in. Plus, they don't have to go about clearing out the site first before they move in, because it's already been cleared. So it just becomes an attractive, opportunity. You're more likely to get growth stimulated in areas where you've cleared out and improved than other areas. I mean, look here, look. We haven't really done anything around here, and we've still got masses of abandoned buildings. But over here, where we've just cleared them all out, we're starting to hopefully going to start getting some growth in these areas. It certainly looks a lot nicer, that's for sure. Alright, let's get this cemetery working again. There we go. And this one. Looks like we finally processed all of the dead bodies. Oh look, we've got someone levelling up. Some new houses going in, replacing some of these abandoned ones. We're still going to get businesses that are going to fail up here just because there isn't the population to sustain them. And we are starting to get a bit of a demand now for commercial, although that's quickly disappearing again. Really need to get this residential level back up nice and quickly. None of our businesses are going to last very long if we can't get the people back in the city. This is just, it's almost heartbreaking when you have a situation like this where you just got so much kind of desertion, I suppose would be the word. I mean, just mass exodus. I mean, obviously this is a little bit different. It's not people leaving the city. This is just people, you know, they're dying off, but and causing the homes to become abandoned as a result. But you know, the after effect is exactly the same. Just see this city that just is in ruins, and it's, especially when you put a lot of hard work in and you look and you see when it's not something you've deliberately tried to engineer, if you're like chasing a trophy or a building unlock or something like that. When something like this just happens naturally, it can be heartbreaking, just looking at all that work you put in just disintegrate before your eyes. And I didn't even know this had happened because I was busy off working on that new area and putting the new roads in, and then I noticed I was getting some deaths, and I didn't really pay too much attention to it, and I carried on going. And then when I'd finished putting all the roads and stuff in and putting the new piping in for that little area, I kind of turned around and looked back and just saw my city in utter ruins. I have absolutely no idea why it happened, and it was kind of heartbreaking, I have to say, to just turn around and see so much just going wrong all at once. Like I said, I've never experienced a death wave anywhere, you know, like that kind of depth before. It was just insane. Well, we are getting some growth back here. You can see new buildings are going in, other buildings are upgrading. There's another one just being restored. Go. Mela district is kind of back to where it should be in terms of no abandoned buildings anymore, so that should help. Lando district's pretty much repaired. Let's deal with this one here. There's this Nicholson Farm. You see now some of these buildings have started to come in to replace failed businesses. The farm is slowly starting to recover. All of this was abandoned. Now it's just, you know, businesses are moving in, but there's no work, or no workers, as I should say. So we need the residences to start picking up and improving quickly, or else the farm's just going to fail again. Still just, actually there's no point working on the industrial ones because they'll keep failing and they'll just rebuild themselves. But if we can sort out the residential zones, I mean, look over here, we're getting, are these commercials that are failing? This might be commercial buildings that are failing over here. See this little commercial zone here starting to rebuild itself. Broad Heights clear out that cemetery. There we go. I'm going to leave this high density on this side as well. This is fine, but say this bit over here, I want all this to kind of rezone down to low density. And it does really change the look of the city, doesn't it? This was all high density earlier. You can see now we've got people moving in and the area's starting to thrive a little bit again. We've got buildings that are levelling up. This is our little commercial zone along here. All starting to come together quite nicely. That looks like a theatre. What is that? Oh, Chirper. Yeah, Chirper Cinema. Or Chirp Cinema. That's kind of cool. I like that. I've not seen that one before. Right, so we've kind of tried to repair it as best we can. We've just got to kind of just sit and let it grow back a bit now. We're back up to 46,000 people. So I'm just going to advance time for a bit now and let things kind of start to rebound. You can see some of these abandoned buildings just naturally being torn down now, and new buildings going up in their place. Now that they're just isolated buildings rather than just dominating each district, now there's just a few buildings here and there that are abandoned. They're kind of isolated, so they're having minimal impact, and people are just coming in and tearing them down to use the space for a new building. So we'll let the city recover, and then we'll pick it up and we'll start working on our new areas over there. So I'll see you in a little while. So we're back up to about 54,000 people, as you can see. We're getting a big demand now for commercial, a small demand for industry, and a kind of a constantly appearing and disappearing demand for residential. That's because there's still plenty of unzoned land that's been, or zoned land that has been unclaimed. Like here, for example, we've got blocks around here. Same up here, we've got land that's still available for houses to be built on. You can see actually one's going in right there as we're talking about that. There's still plenty of gaps around there, and as you come around here again, we've got blocks here that can still be claimed. If we move over here, we've still got all of this area that's yet to be rebuilt or retaken. We've got one house that's gone in here on the corner, but all of this section here, look, there's nobody moved in here yet. So there's still plenty of available land that's pre-zoned and just waiting for buildings to go in, like these ones here that are starting to pop in. So that's why we're not seeing a demand for residential, other than a little blip that appears and then immediately disappears again, because there's no demand for it because it's already been, those requirements are already being met. So until we run out of available space and there's more demand for residences than we can actually immediately provide, we'll never really see that residential demand bar, which is fine. I'm happy with that. But what is important when you have a situation like this and your city is going through a major rebuild like this, or a major restructuring, is education, because you're suddenly going to have a huge wave of people coming in and not enough capacity for them. So what I've done, as you can see, I'm borderline capacity with my junior schools, my middle schools here, again, borderline capacity. What I've done is I've temporarily upped my budgets to 150% to get them to that point, so that we can get them all educated as quickly as possible, and then we can get them into various different forms of employment. So a lot of our commercial buildings are still struggling for workers or just failing completely. You can see here, not enough educated workers in this particular building here. So you can see we've got all 12 jobs are full, but mostly, where they're not, there's a shortage of highly educated employees and well-educated employees. So there's not enough highly skilled, so it's not operating at peak efficiency, that building. And it's the same in various other places as well. You can see this one over here as well. We've got 2 workers that are uneducated, and we actually need, highly educated positions instead. So while there are no jobs available, they're not trained, which is why that business isn't running as effectively as it could be. And it's the same, in quite a few areas. You can see our industries are starting to recover. There's just not enough workers in general at the moment to completely get Nicholson Farm back up on its feet, but it's not far off. Oops, I didn't mean to delete that building. I meant to inspect it. Never mind. So here you can see there's 10 jobs going at the moment in this place here. And 5 workers there are over-educated. So it's kind of a balancing act. You can see some people are going in and they're overqualified. Other people are going in and they're just not qualified enough yet. It's a bit of a balancing act, but getting people into the education system as quickly as we can should help sort that out. And we're getting huge tailbacks on the freeways as a result of all these new people flooding into the city. So we're trying to sort of alleviate that as best we can. Now we have multiple ways in and out of the city. We will add more ways in and out as the city continues to grow and we expand into new areas. So we will have, a turn off here which will support this area. We'll have a bridge that will go over into this area as well. We may possibly put I don't think we'll put another off ramp just here. But what I may well do is, we'll have an area up here and we'll have some kind of bridge going over the freeway to connect the areas that way as well. We'll certainly have another off-ramp somewhere over here, and obviously we've got this connection to come up to this area, which for when we expand over there as well. We've also got this route down here. This obviously goes down to our industry and our dock area over here. You can see this now pretty well recovered. Getting a few trash issues that we may need to deal with, but everything else seems to be okay. And we also have this connection over here as well, so you can see that some vehicles are coming along here to this bridge, and then this is the expansion that I was working on when everything suddenly just went horribly wrong. And this goes over here, over our storm channel over here, and links up to our freeway here, which then splits to the ring road and then into our city on this side. So we have better transport links than we had before. I still want to put in a rail hub, so I'm thinking in here somewhere, maybe in here will be our main rail hub. I'm thinking probably on this block here is where we'll put our station, and then we'll be able to feed a couple of trains off this way. So we've got this line here coming out of Cotton Gardens that will then feed over this way into our station, our sort of multi-platform station over there. We can also run services over to this area perhaps. I mean, I'm thinking that the rails are going to be more long distance connections and the monorail is going to be our shorter distance connections. At the moment we have this monorail that kind of runs all the way over there. That may well change in the future. We may remove the monorail and have an actual train running across the river. I don't know yet. I have to think about that one. But the city is definitely starting to recover, back up to over 57,000 people now, and you can see that there's a lot less abandoned buildings. There's still, some worker issues, but they will eventually kind of shake themselves out as more and more people graduate through the education system from junior level all the way up to university, and then there'll be more educated workers to go off and find those jobs that are causing the issues and fill them. So we're looking much healthier than we were, say, 10-15 minutes ago when we were in a really bad way indeed. These businesses failing at the moment. These ones leveling up though. So you can see this this drugstore here is just popping up with an extra two jobs. Again, we've got overeducated workers in this area here. Hopefully, that'll shake itself out now that the building is upgraded. And there you go. You see, we no longer have an overeducation problem in this building. We have perfect allocation there. One uneducated, two educated, 3 well, and 6 high. Are the breakdowns, and we have 1 job available at the well-educated level. So as these buildings improve and level up, the job situation is shaking itself out quite nicely. It's not enough low education available in this area. May potentially put a small farm in again, or something. Maybe put a small... We've got a lot of trees over here, so I might put a small lumber industry in up here, perhaps, and take advantage of those natural resources. Of course, you can create your own lumber industry quite easily by just zoning an area like this. But then if you want to have a lot of tree buildings like this, so it's not just all warehouses, you can just literally go in and drop in trees, and that sorts it all out. That appears to be... Is that not zoned correctly? Oh no, it is. It's just, you know, those trees are struggling a little bit from pollution by the look of it. Let's take that building out, and hopefully that'll improve whatever's there. What's going to go in? Is it going to be exactly the same as it was? Yep. Let's take that back out again. And again, look, we've got dead trees over here from, I think, from possibly pollution. I think that's just going to build the same building again. Or is it? No, something smaller. A warehouse. Okay, so that should hopefully help deal with a little bit of the pollution in this area. Obviously, this is going to spit out a bit as well, but yeah, our city is definitely on the rebound, and we're actually getting power issues over here. Get some rolling blackouts. Maybe we could do with putting in... Oh, yeah, very rolling blackouts. Let's look at maybe putting in a couple of wind turbines up here. I mean, the noise from these things, you can see the area that's going to be affected. That's not good, is it? Oh, no, that's a solar dam. What about if I put in a solar farm somewhere up here on this hill? You wouldn't really want to live near one of these, would you? Why is our power dropping so much? Is it just no wind? A lot of our our stuff is dependent on wind speed. So I have been toying with the idea as well of putting in a hydroelectric dam. I'm just trying to figure out where would be the best place for it. I'm guessing somewhere over here, perhaps. But then that risks flooding all of this area over here. So if that's the case, maybe we'd be better off putting in a dam somewhere over here. Obviously, we've got the railway line that's then going to be potentially an issue. So we'd have to probably raise the railway line up. That could be a bit problematic. So it's something that I've toyed with the idea with, but it's trying to figure out where's the best place to put it. But we definitely have power issues, and maybe our generators are out of oil. Those ones are okay. There is a third one. That's there. It's got 7 weeks of oil. 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Still getting these power issues, so it's got to be a problem with these just not producing enough. Yeah, they're only producing 13 and they should be producing up to 20. So that's not good. These aren't producing enough either. Yeah, these are all underperforming. One of the things I really love about... Oh, these are only producing 2 as well. These should be producing a lot more than that. That might be because I actually lowered the terrain. I think it is. Yeah, I've created an area where they are not performing at all well. So let's move those over to here instead. So let's start reallocating. I'm going to pause because this is going to break power connections. We're going to have to rebuild them. Let's move these to an area where they're going to be more effective. Along here. So I want to try and get these in a nice straight line. So if I can line up, there we go. position that one there. Let's grab the next one. If I try and do it like this will actually work a bit better. So I've got a guideline there for me to follow. So if I place that one there, let's reposition these. And push that one as close as I can. About there. There we go. Relocate this one over here as well. These will generate a lot more power in a position where they're not kind of in a little valley. They're not obstructed. And obviously that's important for us because we have a major power shortage. So just even moving just a few of these should immediately give us, you know, some benefits. Go. Let's see. Let's put in some power lines, get those connected up. Then we'll need to do the same over here as well. Temporary power line connection like that. That should hopefully help straight away with our power. Well, we are producing more, still not producing enough. You can see these outlying areas are struggling a bit. I wonder, are these maxed out as well? They're producing some. Let's take a look at our info views. So, my production is lower than my capacity. So it's borderline, but we are just about able to cope with the amount of trash the city is producing right now. We could speed things up a little bit, potentially by adding in some trash services. I think we need to have one over here just to deal with all the trash that this place is going to generate. I think just here would be a good place, actually. So we take those buildings out and just drop one of those in just there. And then that can service our industry area over here and can also overflow into other areas as and where we need them. Plus, we're going to need trash collection over here as we start to build up these areas as well. So, yeah, that kind of works out quite nicely for us. If we go back to our info views now, yeah, you can see our incinerator capacity's gone up now to 480. So that gives us a nice little overlap. We're still having big issues with power. Oh, and now we're getting issues with sewage as well. Oh, that's because this isn't powered. Ah, okay, so... right. We have more that we need to do to get this area fixed. So, again, these are only producing 3. These should be producing twice that. So we'll relocate that. And we will... I had initially cleared this area off, but... we kind of need to rebuild this area up again with more power. So having taken them off there and relocated them, I'm now putting them back in again. Simply because we need good wind speed sources, and we just don't have them where these are currently located. And at the very least, even if we do end up with power issues, at least this area shouldn't be affected, because it'll have, you know, power drawn directly from this area. So it'll keep our water processing running at all times, which will stop, you know, sewage problems, which won't cause health problems, which will hopefully prevent another major death wave. It might be that that's what happened, that we just had too many issues with polluted water and just killed a whole ton of people really quickly. Up to 59,000 people in our city now as well. That's quite a lot of people. One more to move. Check the power lines again. Okay, the easiest way for us to sort this out now is going to be to have the power lines running across here, I think. Ah, oh, wouldn't you know it? Built that in the wrong place. Alright, let's take those out. Should have checked the bridge first, shouldn't I? Alright, let's just stick them there. Nope. Nope. Yes, there we go. Right. Again, these are temporary. We will end up, you know, removing these at some point. Okay, and let's take out these lines that are now superfluous. And same over here as well. Don't need these lines here anymore. Okay, is that going to fix our power problems? It's going to improve them, but it hasn't cured them. Oh, there we go, finally. We are now consuming less than we needed. I really don't understand why our power fluctuates so rapidly like that. We produce a lot less at night. Let's go back into our economy. See, we've got a better budget at night. Days is a better budget as well. We're just not producing enough power, and that's frustrating. I don't understand why it fluctuates so rapidly. But as I was trying to say earlier before I got sidetracked, one of the things I love about surviving Mars is you can actually build storage capacity batteries. So when you're producing too much power, you can siphon that excess off into storage buildings, and then if your power dips for any reason, you have a surplus. So you can actually make it back. So we could make power, extra power during the evening, as we are at the moment, and store it, and then unleash that during the day. But I think the only way we're going to deal with this is to put in a solar plant. So we need to figure out where this is going to go. It needs to be roadside. So I'm thinking maybe up here somewhere. We'd have to have a road coming up here and have a solar plant up here so that during the day we have a way of actually storing, you know, creating that power. Maybe we could bring it over here like this, have a road coming off. That would work. So let's bring a road off this way. A nice straight road. Let's try and level that terrain out quickly as well. So I've got a flat area. Okay, that should do it. Bring that road out to about there, and then put in our solar plant, which obviously isn't going to work during the evening but will work during the day, which is when we need that power boost. There we go. And then we need to make sure that that's connected to our power network, which it is. Fantastic. Needs a water connection. We can provide that from there. Excellent. And now that should hopefully deal with our power issues as the sun comes up. So let's take a look. Yeah, see, our consumption's gone up because it's daytime and businesses are busier, but our production is going up as well as the sun goes up. Look at our production going up. That's fantastic. So now we shouldn't, hopefully, have any power issues, at least not for a while anyway. Look how much that thing's rocketing up as the sun comes up. Fantastic stuff. I'm really, really pleased with how well that's coming together. So, last thing we need to do before we end the episode is to do subscriber names. So I'm just going to do one because we've got a very small list at the moment. So if you haven't already submitted a request, you do need to get those in. I'm looking to see what we've got now. Mark Murray has requested a station, so we'll make this little area here Muzz Station with Muzz Street as well. So let's rename this. So there we go, we have Muzz Street up to the roundabout, and then this will be Muzz Station. So let's rename that. And there we go, Muzz Station. So that's for Mark Murray there, who has requested that. That's the only one we're going to do this time. I do have a small list, and I'm trying to make sure that we have something we can put in every episode. So I don't have many requests left, and there's a couple that are time locked to either certain events happening or a certain date. So it does limit the number of options that I have. So if you do want to be featured in JBPG City, then do get those requests in, and I will get you added into our city. And that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with some more City Skylines, Mass Transit and JBPG City very soon.